Hey everyone, it's Shelby here. Welcome back to A Little Literary Love. I'm glad you're all with me today because today I'm going to be doing my end of the month wrap up for April. I can't believe it's already May. Oh my goodness. And I'm hoping this will not be a too terribly long wrap up, but I did read 8 books for the latter half of April. So that puts my total at 16 books read in the month of April, which is incredible. I read a lot of books this month. But before we get into all of those books, please, if you like this video, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and also subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos every Thursday and Sunday, romance books, what I'm reading. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. That is my goal for this year, which I might end up, if I hit that goal, I might have to change that and boost for more potentially because I'm like so close. So all of you that have already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. It really helps me out as a single mom and booktuber here, just trying to make a living in this world. So I really truly appreciate it. So enough of my rambling. We're gonna get into all the books that I read in the latter half of April. So the first 4 books I'm actually going to kind of talk about all together because I did end up reading all 4 books of the Artifacts of Oreno series by Nisha J. Tooley. This is a fantasy romance series starting with The Trial of the Sun Queen. So this first book is our female main character and her siblings are in a prison. They were forcibly put in this prison when they were, well, at least when she was a child, and she gets stolen from this prison and taken to this other kingdom. And she wakes up and she's told that she's going to be competing in the Sun Queen trials. So she's now in the Sun Queen court. And they took her, which they don't, everybody thinks she's from this, like the slums area of this court. Nobody knows like she's actually from a different court area. And so anyway, so she's just placed in these trials and she's told you are competing for the hand of the king. So this kind of is dubbed or blurbed to me as like The Bachelor meets Hunger Games. And that's really what it's like because there's all these women that are wanting to become the queen, but they have to battle it out basically in all these different trials. Some of the women die. It's kind of ridiculous. So that's kind of the very start to this series, and you realize there's a lot of different things more under the surface that is going on. She's wanting to free her other siblings from this prison. You also find out that she also is like actually descended from this other court. And there's all these different like political maneuvers going on and intrigue. So like I said, so the first one is Trial of the Sun Queen. Then the second one is Rule of the Aurora King, then Fate of the Sun King, and then Tale of the Heart Queen. So all of these books are kind of borderline in between like 3.5 stars and 4 stars. I did enjoy them. All of these books are pretty large. I think the first one is maybe like 300 to 400 pages, but then the largest book is like 600 pages. I read this entire series in a week. I don't know. I blew through it. Was this the most original fantasy romance series I've read? No. There's so many things that happened in this book, or these books in general, that I have seen done in other fantasy romance books. So I don't know if this is entirely original. But it didn't entertain me. I did enjoy it overall. There were some like plot holes. The male main character that the girl ends up with isn't necessarily my favorite love interest. But he was all right. I also it kind of bugged me a little bit because it kind of felt like by the end of the series, it felt like one of those like kid specials where it's like, oh, everybody learns their lesson at the end and it's all like happy hunky-dory. And it didn't feel genuine, I guess. But I did end up crying by the end. I don't know. So it's like, it's a 3.75. I don't know. I don't do ratings like that. So for the most part, this gets a 4-star rating. Because overall I did enjoy myself, and because just the sheer fact that I blew through the series in a week, and that is not something that I normally do. I am not great at keeping up with series, and I just wanted to keep reading and just get to the end and find out what happens to these characters. So just for the fact of that, it gets 4 stars. Okay, so after that series, all those 4 books that I read, then I read The Viper's Lady by L. Parker. This is a contemporary romance. This is the 2nd book in the Camelot Court series. I did receive an ARC of this. This is now out, so you can read this. So this one takes place right after the ending of the 1st book. The 1st book does end on a cliffhanger, so if you have not read the 1st book, definitely recommend reading that one before jumping into this one. In this one, the female main character is just moving on to the next leg of this challenge that she's in. This is a King Arthur retelling, like modern day. The characters are in college, and she, in the 1st book, she enters into this this competition of sorts within this like secret society fraternity, where if she wins the competition, she could win a lot of money. She's in medical debt, so she's really wanting to win some money. So like the 1st book, she's paired with a knight, and she's supposed to be with him, and that knight is basically like training her of sorts. So in this one challenge is to prove her loyalty to her knight from the 1st book by now she's getting paired with a different knight, and he is supposed to try to seduce her and make her give in to him. And she can't do that because she has to, like I said, prove her loyalty or whatever. So I ended up giving this one overall 4 stars. I really enjoyed this author's writing. Great banter in this one. We do start to see the growth of this becoming a white shoes romance. So this is marketed as a white shoes romance, but the 1st one, we only really get relationship with one of the characters. Now this one, we're actually starting to develop where our character's like, hey, I have feelings for more than just one guy. This is how things are. If you don't like it, take it or leave it. But I can't just be like, I choose one of you. So we're starting to develop that a little bit more. We did get a little bit more spice in this one. There is an orgasm sandwich between 2 of the guys in this one, so I did really like that. The negatives with this one is I still don't quite understand the purpose of this whole like secret society. One of the characters, well, all of the guys, honestly, but one especially is keeping a lot of secrets from a female main character. So I want to know what's going on. Like, I wanted more to be revealed in this one, and that didn't necessarily happen. So I'm hoping by book 3, which book 3 is supposed to come out sometime in the summer. I think right now she has a placeholder for like September that is coming out. Maybe it'll come out before then. I kind of hope it'll come out before then because I feel like I'm going to forget everything that happens by the time book 3 comes out. But I'm hoping more stuff gets revealed in book 3 and it'll be good. Then I read Game On by Bex DeVoe and L.E. Eldridge. This is a novella. It's only like, honestly, it might be more considered like a short story. I can't remember what is designated as like short story versus novella. This is like 60 pages, so it's really quick. This is an Omega verse. This one is about our female main character. She is an Omega, and she is nearing her heat, and she decides to, instead of doing her heat on her own, she decides to check into this a heat hotel where she can be matched with an alpha to help her through her heat. I've read this kind of similar scenario in a lot of different Omegaverse stories, and I really enjoy it. So she does end up getting with an alpha, and who helps her through her heat. And that's basically all it is. It's very steamy, very spicy, very quick. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars because overall I didn't really enjoy it. My only issue with it is that it ends very abruptly. Like, it feels like there needed to be more. It was just, yeah, they had sex and then it was like the next morning, and like the alpha was going to get up to like go get her some refreshments, and then that's where it ends. So I kind of wish it would have ended a little bit differently, where like it's the end of her heat and they're parting ways, or something like that. This one is a prequel novella to Game Over, which is coming out at the end of May, which is why I wanted to read this one, to get a little bit of backstory, because Game Over is going to feature kind of like a second chance scenario between these two characters that are in this book, and along with, I think the female character ends up getting a boyfriend. So it ends up becoming like a throuple kind of situation in Game Over when that book comes out. So I will be reading that one. And I will, after I read that one, I'll kind of see if I think that this one is necessary or not. But overall, it was fun. Then I read Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is the second book in the Wicked Games series by her. This is a paranormal romance series. I was going to put off reading this one because I hadn't really seen a ton of like hype surrounding this for the second book of the series. There's tons of hype for Phantasma, which I did read that and enjoy it. Although I did feel like Phantasma was really a bit predictable. However, my friend blew through Phantasma and wanted to read this one, so we decided to buddy read this one together, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. So this one is about our female main character. She is the sister of the female main character in the first book. She gets these letters, which they're not actually addressed to her, they're addressed to her mother, and invites her mother to come visit this home in Enchantra. She finds this picture of her mother and this man, and so she decides to go to this home and ask this guy that's been sending her letters questions, because she's wanting to find somebody else that is similar to her with her abilities. So she writes at this home, but she arrives at the wrong time. So these letters asked her mother, who her mother is passed away. She passed away in the first book, to arrive before the spring equinox, I think. But she arrives like afterwards. And so she gets into this house. She kind of bulldozes her way in. And because she's there at the wrong time, now she is locked in and she cannot leave. And none of the inhabitants of this house can leave either, because they are locked into this game of hunting each other for the amusement of demons. So she is the only mortal, and now she has to try to survive. So one of the men in this family has decided they're going to get married, because if they are married together, then she gets to, it's not like she's by herself, like her and this other guy are going to be paired together against all the other people. And this will help her with surviving, and he can kind of use his powers to like protect her. So that's just like the rules of the game or whatever. So I end up giving this one 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this, and I'm like back and forth on if I like this one better than the first one or not, because with this one, while honestly, like overall, I enjoyed the characters more. Like Phantasma, I really liked the main female protagonist and male protagonist in Phantasma, but then the side characters, I was kind of like, meh about. This one, I loved all of the characters, all of the side characters, the main characters. I loved all of them. Then Phantasma, I kind of like the challenges a little bit better in Phantasma than this one, because all of the challenges in this one, it's just they're hunting each other. So each night there's like a different game that they're playing to try to hunt each other, but it's basically all the same. They just keep running and hiding from the person that is trying to hunt them down. So it's kind of a little bit monotonous with that. However, I mean, both of the characters that were together, they got to know each other, and of course they fall in love because it is a romance. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked the male main character. I honestly am maybe considering him like a book boyfriend. He was great. He was fabulous. And then we did get teased at the very end of this book that there might be more books coming in the series, and I cannot wait. I'm really hoping that they are about more of his siblings, because they're like in a house with him and his brothers and his sister. And I'm really hoping that we get books about them because I loved all of them. I'm so excited for more books. It was so good. And then the last book that I read for April is going to be The Princess and the Pack by Fallon English. I got an arc of this. This one comes out May 2nd, so this actually should be out by the time I post this video. This is an Omegaverse story. I full stop loved this book. This one is kind of, honestly, like if you mashed historical romance and Omegaverse together, that's what you would get if you read this book, because our female main character, she is a princess, but she's also an Omega, and she has an arranged marriage with this alpha prince from another kingdom, so kind of, you know, typical for royals. However, Omegaverse, this is all normal in this universe, but royals are only supposed to be with one other person, whereas like the common folk are able to form pacts. So that's typical behavior in Omegaverse stories. Omegas usually end up forming a pack with other people. It's just something that Omegas really crave and need. But because she is a princess, she's not supposed to have a pack. She's only supposed to have one. This makes her very sad because just who she is in her soul, she really wants a pack. So she's nervous about this, but she's going to do her best ability to just kind of be with this one person. However, when we get to their wedding, she is now fully come into being an Omega because she's now 21, and she finds out that her husband, her soon-to-be husband, it's their wedding, is her scent match. So it's kind of that like fated mates kind of trope there too. She realizes that he's a scent match, but then she also realizes that a couple other people in his court, are also scent matches with her. Being his best friend and advisor, and then also his gardener. And they have devised this plan to try to make it more okay, I guess, for royals to form pacts. But she does not realize this. So she's in her feelings about it because she wants to be loyal to her husband, but she's also craving these other men, so she's trying to decide what to do. But anyway, I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it's 5 stars for me. I'm thinking we're getting more books in this series. This is also like a queer normative world, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So it was just such a cozy book. It gave me all the warm and fuzzy feelings. I was smiling throughout this entire book when I was reading it. It just made me feel really good reading it, and all the characters were so sweet, but also so caring towards one another. They're just such sweet babies, and I adored all of them. I adored this whole book. So that is going to be it for this wrap up. Those are all the books that I read in the second half of May. If you want to listen to and find out the books that I read in the first half of May, I will try to link something in the cards for my mid-month wrap up. I did pretty good with most of my goals for the month. Like I said, I read 16 books for the month. I did not read any nonfiction books, which I have a goal to read 1 nonfiction book a month. I also have a goal to read 1 book from my bookshelves a month. I did not do that this month either, but the rest of my goals I was able to accomplish, so I feel pretty good overall about that. But yeah, anyway, that's going to be it. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below with some of the books that you've been enjoying in April. What were your favorite books that you read in April? I love hearing from you all. But yeah, that's going to be it. I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.